Breaking news! Come on, Chiefs fans! Something is happening behind the scenes at the Chiefs that could completely change the way the team views the immediate future of the wide receiver position, and perhaps no one has talked about it enough yet. We're talking about a player who has divided opinions wherever he's been, who has undeniable talent, but who brings with him an emotional baggage that could shake up any locker room. I'll give you all the details soon, and you can be sure there will be surprises from here on out. Before you continue, click like if you think the Chiefs will make it to the next Super Bowl. If possible, comment something like, "Go, Chiefs! My heart bleeds red and gold." Well, here we go. Do you have any idea who this player is? Kadarius Toney. And what was revealed about him in this latest update from the Kansas City Chiefs report may make you reconsider everything you thought about his continued presence on the roster. Let's get straight to the point. Toney, who was already on the decline after an extremely disappointing 2023 season, appears to be completely out of Andy Reid's plans at this point. Based on what was gathered and discussed on the show, Toney no longer has a place in the team's offensive system, at least not for the foreseeable future. This is not speculation. This has been said outright, based on sources close to the organization. The trust has simply evaporated. After multiple opportunities, crucial drops, poorly executed routes, and a glaring lack of consistency, the coaching staff seems to have decided to turn the page. And if you think this is coming out of nowhere, let's recap. Kadarius Toney, acquired in 2022 via trade with the New York Giants, arrived in Kansas City as a high-risk, high-reward gamble. At first, it even seemed like a masterstroke by Brett Veach. He made an immediate impact and even scored a touchdown in Super Bowl 57. But what we saw in 2023 was the opposite, a player who was absent in critical moments, with almost no production, and worst of all, someone who lost the trust of the NFL's most important quarterback, Patrick Mahomes. And now, with names like Rashee Rice consolidating, and the addition of Marquise Hollywood Brown in free agency, Toney's space has become even tighter. Jones got straight to the point in the report. The coaching staff is not even planning to use him in the main formations. He may technically be on the roster, but that's just a formality. His participation in games is uncertain right now. Should a trade come up? He'll be set. Should an injury arise and depth needs to be used? Maybe he'll get another chance. But the point is clear, the Chiefs are no longer willing to build an offensive plan around Kadarius Toney as a functional piece. Now, some argue that Toney has plenty of talent, that his ball handling skills are special, and that maybe he just needs a fresh start, or even a coach who can channel his energy properly. That may all be true. But in Kansas City, where the standard is winning championships and maximizing every play, there's no time for experiments that haven't worked. And it wasn't just Toney who got into the discussion. Another interesting point in the report was the emphasis on the Chiefs' roster-building philosophy this offseason. The idea has been to bolster the roster with consistency, experience, and reliability, which is why Hollywood Brown's arrival makes so much sense. He doesn't have to be the WR1 that could continue with Rice, or even be shared with Travis Kelce, who is still Mahomes' top target, but Brown offers something that Toney has not been able to sustain: a steady presence, professionalism, and the ability to complete routes with precision. Tyler Jones also highlighted how the Chiefs are paying close attention to the depth structure of the receiving corps. Sky Moore is still on the roster, but his production needs to improve. Justin Watson continues to be a reliable piece, especially on deep routes and third-down situations. And with the draft approaching, it wouldn't be surprising to see Kansas City bolster that position even more, especially considering that Toney and Moore haven't delivered as expected. Now, something that also caught my attention was the tone with which this update was made. There was no beating around the bush. The message to Toney was almost public: you had your chance. You didn't take it. We're moving on. For a player who came in as a bold bet, that kind of statement sounds like the final sentence. The only question that remains is, how much longer will he be on the roster? And who still believes he can bounce back under Andy Reid? So let's face it, the Chiefs are in full-on contender mode. They have no time to waste, and every roster move is carefully crafted to maximize Mahomes' window. If a player isn't delivering, whether due to injury, attitude, or technical performance, he becomes expendable, no matter how much hype he had a year or two ago. And right now, Kadarius Toney is the embodiment of that logic. Now I want to hear from you, the fans. What do you think about Kadarius Toney's future in Kansas City? Do you think he deserves another chance with Mahomes and Reid? Or do you think patience has run out and it's time to move on, or going forward? Comment below, Type Y if you still believe he can bounce back, or N if you think his run with the Chiefs is over. I want to hear what you think, because this story, while seemingly over, may still have one final chapter. And if you think Kadarius Toney's impact is limited to the wide receiver position, think again. Because when a player this explosive, originally projected to be a multitasking weapon on offense, fails to deliver on even the basics, it forces changes throughout the Kansas City Chiefs' offensive ecosystem. It affects play calls. It influences how defenders line up. It changes draft priorities. Most importantly, it affects the chemistry with Mahomes, something Andy Reid and Eric Bieniemy have held dear while he's been with the team. Tyler Jones has been blunt about saying that the coaching staff simply isn't counting on him anymore. That statement, on any team, would be harsh. In Kansas City, it almost sounds like an informal release. Toney is still on the books, but only because a formal decision has yet to be made. And if one is made, it will be purely strategic, whether it's waiting for a trade opportunity or simply cutting losses if another roster spot opens up. And here's another key point: team culture. Since Patrick Mahomes took the reins as starting quarterback, the Chiefs have become the gold standard. It's not just about individual talent, but the ability to fit into a disciplined, efficient, results-driven system. We saw this happen with players like Sammy Watkins, who, despite also dealing with injuries, remained relevant because he never compromised the offensive structure. Toney, on the other hand, even when healthy, has shown difficulty running routes with precision and timing, something unforgivable for a wideout playing with Mahomes. In fact, this disconnect was evident on several occasions throughout last season. Plays were dead before they even started. Mahomes passes that looked wrong, but when you watch the replay, they were exactly where they should have been, with the only thing missing was the receiver being in the designated spot. Confidence has been eroding, game after game. When Travis Kelce has to take responsibility even on screen plays because his outside receivers are unreliable, you know the system is under pressure. And here comes a strategic point on the roster: versatility. Toney was once seen as a potential dual weapon, returner and wide receiver, but even in that regard he has disappointed. With the NFL's new kickoff model about to be implemented, and with more emphasis on the importance of smart and quick returners, the space for someone who has already demonstrated a lack of decision-making under pressure is even smaller. Why keep Toney as a returner when you can develop a rookie who is cheaper and has less of a history of instability? From a financial standpoint, releasing Toney would also not cause major damage to the cap. His contract is still based on rookie values and would not compromise the accounts. This means that, unlike other players the Chiefs may have to keep just to justify the investment, Toney does not represent a significant cost. If he does not add value on the field, tactically, technically, or mentally, the decision to cut him becomes easier and more logical. Another point mentioned by Tyler Jones was the impact of the arrival of Marquise Brown. Hollywood already has a history of playing as a WR1, has the speed to stretch the field and, most importantly, offers reliability. In an offense based on tempo and rhythm, knowing that the receiver will be where he should be is not a bonus, it is a requirement. With Mahomes, every inch counts. Every second of hesitation is a turnover risk. Toney, unfortunately, did not deliver that confidence. Brown did. And if the Chiefs' draft goes as expected, further strengthening the position with an explosive and technical receiver in the first round, it will be another nail in the coffin of Kadarius Toney's permanence in Kansas City. Write in the comments now. Presser if you think.